Welcome to the Two Beasts podcast, where best friends Chris and Ollie try and figure out this complicated thing we call life. We hope you enjoy.
He's going off on one.
Bugger the washing machine. Let's have a pod anyway, shall we? What are you doing? Texting still?
No, I'm writing stuff down for this pod.
You motherfucker. You can't just come not prepared and then prepare now.
I am prepared.
The pod's live, mate.
We're prepared.
It's not preparing. This is on the site fucking work.
I'm prepared now.
All right, go on then. First of all, hello everyone. Welcome back. Right, I've got fucking apologies to make. First of all.
Apologies?
Yeah. Last week's episode was absolute fucking wank, mate.
That's
on my part. The episode was actually fine, but
yeah,
my contributions were absolutely dead tier.
You were just having one of those days, weren't you? One of those weeks.
I've come back from the jaws of defeat. It was a low point.
Yeah.
In the 100 episode challenge, making 100 episodes. It's all a bit of learning, all a bit of fun.
It's not bad though, because this is episode 20.
Yeah.
2-0 of the Two Beasts podcast, which is pretty sick. And I feel like we can now, we've done a little dip. Now it's time to
it's time to take off.
Bring it back up, man.
We were saying
put
we
that
should
into first gear, not reverse.
In the last couple of episodes, we were like, yeah, we're not getting guests on, a pain in the ass. And then today we were looking at the views difference. We were like, mate, we need guests.
Nobody likes us, apparently. Nobody likes us too fucking talking about stuff.
Well, it's not that nobody we do get a consistent number of viewage, to be fair. But I am going to fucking pause that washing machine though. Okay, quick, do something entertaining while I'm gone.
Okay.
Jesus Christ!
That is the most horrific sounding thing in the world. Is that washing machine is just bad. Bad news bears, everyone.
I don't know. I didn't know how to stop it, so I just fucking switched it off, but it carried on going. Like a ghost thing.
Like a ghost machine.
Fucking scary.
Fucking Casper's in the washing machine playing tricks on us.
What did you do while I was gone? What did you do to entertain them?
Well, you weren't gone for that long, so I just talked about how the washing machine was paying.
Oh yeah, the washing machine's fucking loud. Horrible scenes, but we've fixed it now. It's all good.
Yeah, it's got this one noise, isn't it? It's got this one point in its little cycle where it just loves to sound like it jumps around the fucking kitchen.
They heard it because there's absolutely no shot I'm editing my mic out. So when I went in there into the fucking...
Oh, I apologise everyone who sat in a car or was peacefully doing something. And now if you've heard sounding like someone, pounding the side of their head in.
Fucking hell, we're being invaded. Not
yet.
Yeah, we actually have a steady, quite a consistent number of views, which is nice. Shout out to everyone who listens to the podcast regularly. Fucking really appreciate that, because realistically, there is no reason for you to do that besides the fact that you quite like an underdog and you see two people here that are absolute nobodies.
That's us.
Having a go at something that everyone would quite like to do, really, if they could, I think. Because podcasting's fucking fun.
It is. We love it.
We're just not that great at it, but you know, how good are you at podcasting? That's my question to you.
Just fucking drop the mic and walk off. That's it. Done.
Yeah,
He's made the statement.
The podcast has been going for 3 minutes and we've both now gotten out of our chairs at least once.
Yep.
So this is fantastic scenes, setting the stage today.
Yep.
But yeah, last weekend I just fucking... I think it was that one joke. It was one joke I made where you went back on... the moment I lost all my confidence. I listened to it back today because I was editing that podcast today.
Yeah.
And the moment where I lost my fucking role...
Yeah.
Was when you were talking about, you confessed to your Lamborghini thing being a load of nonsense. You're like, oh, I want to take that back. I want to apologise. Thought about it.
I was doing something constructive and being genuinely open.
And I was going to take this line of patter where I was like, oh, well, now you've apologised. Haha, I could lord it over you that you've come back on yourself. And
you thought you'd take the moral high ground.
Yeah. And be a dick about it, but for fun.
Yeah.
And I was looking over at you and it was just this absolute fucking blank, what are you saying, mate, kind of response. And I knew I just didn't nail it.
No.
And not even close. But you win some, you lose some. That is the beautiful game of podcasting.
Correct.
You had a thing like that on episode 4, I think. We actually kind of cut the episode up a little bit to cut it out because there was this
there was that weird
point.
Blank in just sort of no one's home type deal, you know what I mean?
And then it got awkward, right? Because we were sat here, bear in mind this is still episode 4, we didn't know how the game worked yet. And we both were sat here really for 4 or 5 minutes with nothing to say. And then it starts getting in your head, doesn't it? You start thinking, oh, fucking hell, if someone actually listens to this podcast, they're going to be sat there listening to silence, listening to us feel awkward and all that. And you kind of had this look on your face that was like, I think we should just cut.
It's like, I
you were
don't want
trying
to
to telepathically tell me.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be here
You were trying to
anymore.
telepathically tell me, let's just tell me to cut the cameras and let's just give up on this podcast. And I was like, no, we're going to carry on.
See it through. And it was all right in the end. Do you know, but the underlying point of every time we do a shit one is because we don't have a direction.
Yeah, we don't have a plan.
Which will come on to the topic of today later on. That will link back. But yeah, it's all about having a direction.
Yeah, it is.
The direction is key.
Yeah, and part of it's a bit of fun too. To be fair though, there's some episodes where, and I've been like that the last 2 weeks, because we only recently started like deciding that we were going to take each episode in like a specific direction, which I think is a smart thing to do. I like that we've done that. But yeah, like also just, I don't know, this is a thing we're doing on the side for a bit of fun, isn't it? So sometimes I just can't be asked to think of something. And also the other reason we started this podcast is because we wanted to try and get to the point where we were so comfortable in front of camera that we just have our normal conversations, because we piss ourselves laughing very often, like absolute tears on at least a weekly basis, I would say.
Almost daily.
On average. Yeah. On average, there is a weekly, like, tears in the eyes kind of laughter phase.
Did we have that the other... Oh, no, that was over a reel the other night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was that Instagram reel that I posted that I just couldn't... It was like a solid 10 minutes of just cry.
Mate, for the short, you should attach it to this little clip it here. There's just this fucking... There was this bear, basically, that was running off and wiggled its
guy
ass.
in a bear suit, guy in a gorilla suit, the guy in a bear suit smacks the guy in a gorilla suit. The gorilla suit then chases after him, and as the bear's running away, he's just got this tiny ass that's just fucking wiggling about the place.
And Ollie, obviously notoriously fond of ass, so it was a big win for him. Yeah.
But we can attach the short, because I think you've got a video of me pissing myself. So we can attach
that
to the short. So we can
that.
attach that to the short. It'd be funny. Or it might not be funny, who knows?
That's a whole fucking editing day with that short.
Yeah.
You know what happens now when I go through the shorts? Like in the evening, because I've got this really bad habit. We post 3 shorts a day on YouTube, Instagram and TikTok. And we've done that with about 99% consistency, I think. Like there was a period right at the beginning when you went on holiday and kind of fucked it up for 2 weeks. And then there was that day last week where you were ill and I was like, should we just have a fucking day off doing the reels? That was like the biggest treat I could think of at the time.
I've also had the occasional 2, and I've gone like, it's been far too late. And I've gone,
not told me about them.
Yeah, I've just gone to bed and not posted the 3rd.
I will just say that I have come back into this house at 3 a.m. sometimes and still had 3 reels to do, and I've done them.
I know. The dude is disciplined.
Interesting that you used the term too late there, because I challenge you to come up with a time when you were up at 3 a.m.
I try not to be. I try not to be.
But for context as well, I'm not one of these like dickhead nocturnal people that stay up till fucking 6 a.m. Like I normally go to bed at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
the weird question with that though is if you're coming in and posting them at 3 a.m.
Is it technically the next day?
So that's the thing. So are you then posting none and then 6?
I have a rule because I've already set this precedent in my own life.
Okay, that's
You're
fair.
welcome to set whatever precedent you want. It's a bit like Strava versus Garmin, isn't it? Like in terms of when your mileage starts for the week.
Yeah.
My precedent was set with the 2 litres of water a day thing because basically my rule is if I'm still awake, it's still that day. So if I wake up at fucking 7 a.m, even if I wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm awake till 7 a.m, if I post a reel at 6:50, that is still the same day. It's the same 24-hour period.
So you're saying that everyone has to work on your time?
No, I'm just saying that if... No.
I was a joke.
I actually don't know where I even suggested that in the first place. That was a fucking horrible thing to imply.
I apologise.
That's basically my rule. So by the same extension, yes, 3:30 in the morning is
still the previous day.
Unless you've gone to sleep at 6 p.m. and woke up at 3:30. Which has traditionally happened as well. That would not be the same day, obviously.
Because you've had sleep in between.
As long as you haven't slept.
Yeah.
Excluding naps. It gets complicated. It was simple at the start. Everyone understood it. I tried adding nuance. Now it's got confusing.
You've just gone down the fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah. If you haven't gone to bed yet, if it's not bedtime, then it's still okay.
Roger that.
I'm glad that we fucking finally sorted that out.
Done.
Classic fucking 10 minutes to explain a 30-second point.
It's just this is how we roll.
Yeah.
On that point, this week's weekly challenge was, I think, just to rest and not do
Recover. Are you recovered?
Yeah, relatively.
You fucking better be, because otherwise you're doing a marathon.
Relatively, I feel good. I feel good, I think.
Me too.
After today, I've had the past couple of days where I felt a bit like, but I think today I've woken up and felt a bit more like,
nice.
A bit more recovered. So
classic. Pull it off for the day of the pod vibe.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. That's the key.
Well, the reason I was saying recover last week is because I tore my bicep. Well, I thought I tore my bicep.
Yeah, how is that?
I think I actually just pulled it because it's absolutely fucking fine this week. I carried on doing all my usual stuff. The same thing that I injured it doing pull-ups. Carried on, did my weekly pull-ups this week. Absolutely no dramas.
Did you drop a little bit in terms of the numberage you were doing? No,
same.
Reps were the same.
Yeah, same.
There we go.
The only difference that I did was normally I'll try and do 1,000 a week right now, and so roughly like the baseline for that is 4 days of 250 at 5 reps a minute every minute. So basically 50 minutes of pull-ups 4 times a week. That's my baseline training for this challenge. But often I obviously don't want to spend 3 hours and 20 minutes every week doing pull-ups in the fucking gym like a dickhead. So I try and do them faster so that I get more time free. So I'll try and do like 6, 7 reps a set, or chuck in the occasional set of 10, whatever. Pretty much the only difference was I didn't do that. I did just stick to 5 because that's a nice sort of gentle pace.
Yeah.
So I did just take a really long time.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Well, hey, at least it's not torn.
No.
That's the main thing. I think you'd probably have known if it was torn properly.
That's the thing, though. I thought I did know.
Yeah.
I thought I did, because it was fucking agony. Like at the time, it was I say agony. It was like a 7 or 8 out of 10 when I was using it. When I was just standing around,
I guess it's also dependent on how far you've torn it. Like, there's a difference between just tearing it and then tearing it off the fucking bone.
Yeah,
like,
true.
That's considerable pain.
There was no doubt that I didn't tear it off the bone. I didn't think that at the time. That would have been a bit melodramatic, but
so there we go. Just a strain.
It's just scary, isn't it? When you're training for something and then you get a pain, you're like, oh fuck, this better go away.
Yeah.
And then it
all the time.
gets in your head then as well.
Yeah.
Like
finger injuries for me in climbing is the fucking worst.
That is
worst.
One thing I noticed doing the pull-ups is like the joints on my fingers are starting to get like really. That's the next thing that's kind of wearing out. That's the wear and tear I see.
Yeah.
Like doing that, like clicking your knuckles or whatever, actually sometimes hurts now. I'm like, don't really get like.
It's because your fingers are made of mostly like tendon.
Right.
So in order to get tendons, because they lack oxygen and blood flow to them, they are notoriously harder to recover from than a muscle strain or even breaking a bone. Like a lot of people say they'd rather break, like, when people like do all their ligaments in their ankles or in their knees, like you'd rather break the bones in your ankle or in your like in and around your knee than actually like tearing all the ligaments, because it just takes like so much longer to recover from them. So
in terms of the injury list, wish list, you would go for muscle injury, then bone injury, then ligament injury.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just because the time it takes, and when you snap up all your ligaments and stuff, they don't fully heal like bones and stuff do. Obviously, they're not going to be as good as they were before previously, and this is just me telling what I know. But yeah, tendons in particular, like fingers as well, because they're your extremities and they're like the furthest away from like your heart. It takes so long to fucking get any blood and stuff to them. So
did you say once tendons go, they don't heal back as good, or they heal back better?
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Feel free to correct me on this, but I've heard that they're never fully as good as they were when they recover. Like when people do their shoulders and shit, like that's a classic one of all the ligaments tend to be like elongated and stuff. So and tendons and stuff. So they are not as strong, or it takes fucking ages to get that strength back. That's why a lot of people, when they have issues with shoulders, when they pop their shoulder out, they can become more and more frequent. Like once you popped it out once, it becomes more and more likely you're going to pop it out again because of all the stuff around your shoulders. It's such a weird joint in and of itself. It's a lot harder to recover from. So.
A little bit like getting knocked out, isn't it? Once you get knocked out once, it's quite easy to get sparko.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, because stuff just starts to deteriorate, basically.
Like, I don't know, I've known people, back with skateboarding and stuff, like people would take some really fucking heavy knocks, but they'd be fine. But they didn't really get into fights or anything like that, I guess. I don't know. Pretty scary.
Yeah, man. Yeah, head injuries are the
freaky
worst.
business.
Yeah. I'd rather have anything else than a head injury, to be honest, I think. So.
I'd probably take a head injury over a cock injury.
Maybe.
Snapping the banjo's not vibe.
Oh, God, it just hurts just even talking about that.
We've all been there.
So that's the weekly challenge recap. We both feel pretty recovered.
Yeah. Do we have one for next week?
I was just thinking that. I was just trying to think of whether we had any for this week.
Maybe we can come back to it at the end, because right now I want to think of something that's fairly easy.
Okay. Because you've been back on a grind. I've noticed this past week. It's been a lot.
I don't know what you mean, mate. I'm always on the grind.
As in, you've been a lot more sat behind that desk doing a lot of shit.
Yeah, I've been back. Yeah. Well, I've had stuff to actually, work's actually picked up pretty massively in the last couple of weeks. I think it was all those ads on the 2B's podcast for Maven Visuals that we actually haven't attached to the last 5 episodes, but whatever.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I haven't actually gone back and watched the live ones.
The only reason is because we've now replaced it with, because we're doing our episodes now, there's only one break. And that one, I just think it makes sense to use your one.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do
socials and stuff.
I do all the introage now.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the guest. You used to do the guest introduction thing.
Yeah.
Which you will do again when we get guests back on. I think we were going to talk about that. Yeah, we talked about that already.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm like, just keep it balanced type of thing. Just
that
have
makes sense.
Me as the intro and you as the ad, and then happy days.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
All right. Well, weekly challenge we'll come back to at the end.
Yeah.
So I guess now, before we get into the juicy stuff, we'll do the AI segment.
Yeah.
Which is slowly becoming my favourite part of these podcasts.
Yeah.
After we actually generated our first set of images.
Our first set of images were pretty good.
They're pretty good.
For context, we have only generated one set of those images from all of the episodes that we've done. But
yeah, I've posted 2 of them so far on Instagram.
Have you? I haven't posted them yet. I need to just steal yours.
Yeah, yeah, they're quite good.
All right, this week, new Call of Duty takes place in
Cornwall.
Yes, nice. Captain Price in Truro.
Here, Captain Price.
Captain Price, we got a problem.
You've got a problem down in the safe.
Contact, 50 metres, second floor.
Second floor a little. Oh, God.
Beautiful. Want to go surfing, son? There's some girl waves over there, son.
You're pricey. Do you put your jam first or your cream first on your scones?
Oh, I don't talk about none of that. It's too controversial.
Shit.
I actually do put, I think cream makes a reasonable butter. I think coloured thing goes on top of me. I can't remember whether that's the traditionally Cornish thing or the traditionally Devon thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like,
it tastes the same either way, doesn't it, really? Let's be honest.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd probably go instinctively, I'd go jam top. That just makes sense to me.
I've been known to do both, so I've been known to switch it.
Never had cream on a fucking scone because I'm not that big a fan of cream. So that sort of eliminates that deep problem. More deep philosophical problems on next week's episode, by the way. Got some proper dicey ones.
Shit, bro.
Proper dicey ones. Bit more extreme than cream and jam, I got to say.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, that's something to look forward to. Yeah. So I guess what I wanted to talk about this week was discipline.
Oh, no.
Discipline, just in terms of... So for context, my week has been a standard week, but there's been a few days where... I feel like for me, I go through these waves of having like a good few days of like solid discipline. And that normally starts from a Monday to like Wednesday, Thursday. And then as the week draws on, the discipline gets less. And then I find myself getting to Saturday and Sunday and I'm like, right, Monday's coming around, boys. Discipline's back in session on Monday. And then I think, what am I doing that for? Like, it needs to be like a daily thing because otherwise it's pointless doing it, right? So kind of just like wanted to get your take on things and what you do for discipline, but also how we can pass on some things in terms of... kind of, I guess it is going to kind of link back a little bit to the episode we did on how not to quit, because there's probably going to be some similarities in terms of like the things that you can do in order to keep your discipline right. But yeah.
The thing is, like, there's not too much I can say because I learned about discipline from podcasts. There's not too much that I can say that you haven't already heard on a self-improvement podcast. But it is literally like, let's start from absolute fucking pandemonium, right? Imagine me in peak fucking weasel mode. I've done nothing for say 6 weeks. And I'm gaining weight and I'm sat on the sofa doing all the rest of that shit and I'm fucking depressed and all that shit, you know, like you do get when you haven't done anything for a while, and I'm just feeling sad. The way I remember the last time I got out of that was like 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I think. I remember I moved back in with my parents and fucking all the rest of it, and I was just feeling absolute like a knobhead, and I'd done nothing for. Actually, yeah, it was COVID. It was during the lockdown, the first lockdown, because I, like most other people, was like, oh sweet, lockdown, I have to do fuck all then. And my routine at the time, I didn't do any work building my business at that time because I was like, I can't do anything anyway. What's the point? Tons of stuff I could have done, but anyway, I had my job at the shop, which thankfully I still could go to. And I was doing like, to be fair, I was doing like 40, 50 hour weeks there some weeks because everyone was off with fucking shielding or whatever that nonsense was. And, but my shifts were like 5 to 10 in the evening. So I would wake up at like 8 or 9 a.m., load up Assassin's Creed Origins, fucking just cut about Egypt like a madman for 12 hours and then, or 10 hours. And then do my 5-hour shift and then come home, play a bit more Origins and go to sleep. And I did that for about 6 weeks. And in the end, I was like, right, this ain't going to fucking do. This is just absolute madness. You know, once I beat Origins and I couldn't be fucked to start anything else. And so I literally did just do that thing where I started with a really small menial task. Like I just cleaned my fucking room or I just like tidied some insignificant bullshit. And then once I'd done that, that felt like something productive. And I was like, cool, I have built a little snowball. Let's see if I can get it to roll up into a big boy. And just carried on doing little things like that. And then from there, I did loads of stuff like getting up, like sorting sleeping patterns out. Like that was the next thing. And just basically putting yourself in the best possible position. That'll start, that'll do. That's how I get from ground fucking zero.
Solid advice. I mean, I would essentially say I'd do the same thing, except this is where I get into a weird thing is because I just sort of like drop off. And I've no idea why. Like, is it because I get up and I'm like, just can't be asked to do that? Or is there like something in your mind? But like you say, I think just doing those little things, like what I have done and kept it, I'm saying this all as if I'm not a disciplined person, as I'm probably sat here like I don't do anything all day. It's obviously I do quite a lot.
Depends who you ask. Compared to some people, you are.
Yeah, but then compared to other people, I do nothing. It's all relative, isn't it, right? But like, I'd like to think I'm fairly structured. I'm more structured on days when I'm working. So when I have my job and I'm at the wall at 8 and I finish at 6, then I train, then I stretch, then I come home and it's like bang, bang. And even in the mornings, like, and you know, I'm up at a certain time, which is normally 6. Again, that's a little bit iffy. 6, half 6. Try and get something in, do my stuff. And what I've tried to do is try and make sure I have like a morning routine. So like my recent thing is to get up, have a cold shower, because I feel like that sets your day quite well in terms of you're giving yourself. Sets it quite cold, but it means that you've done something hard straight off the bat. So I know Rogan was talking about that, and he was saying it's like the first thing you should do is try and do something difficult in the morning because then it sets your day in a way that when you then go to work or something happens that's hard during the day, you're like, well, I literally just started off with that, so that gives you the confidence.
My nipples got really hard in the cold water this morning, so fuck you, I can take whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, they were like thermometers. So I had that. Then I would like meditate for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'd come down and do whatever. Probably by that point, I'd like almost go into work. But I think there was some points where I was getting to the point where I could come down and do like bits of, you know, editing the shorts.
Yeah, you were doing that, yeah.
Or like bits of, which again, is stuff that I keep thinking about and it's like, just do that. That's all you got to do. It's like real simple shit, you know, even, I think you said it to me actually, like, because I know you had that thing of just doing like an hour a day. But even if you can, that it's not saying that you have to sit down and do that hour. Like, you can break that hour down into 5 minutes throughout the day, 20 minutes, like whatever it is that fits.
If you want to make it fucking brutal.
If you want to make it a pain in the arse. But I'm saying, if you've got to work around other things, if you're not as free as you are in terms of like building your own schedule and stuff, right? So that definitely helped. And I think that's something that will kick in again in terms of keep doing those things. But yeah, and then it's just that, I think the thing for me is because I've now rekindled the cycle a little bit with climbing, that's kind of given me something to focus on as well in terms of training and where my training goals are and stuff. So it's that routine. The routine is the key for me.
Mate, I think,
in some regard.
To be fair, in some regard, you're being a little bit harsh on yourself as well, because you're saying that you're really motivated at the start of the week, Monday, Tuesday, and then about Wednesday it starts dropping off. But also you probably do just have limited bandwidth, and I'm not saying that that's a permanent thing.
Yeah.
People have different levels of how much work they can do, and a lot of that is dependent on what you find fun as well. If you obviously find it fun, you're going to be able to do it way more than if you don't, etc., etc. But like, you will always lose the game of willpower. There's some freaks out there like Goggins or whatever, but mate, Goggins likes something about what he's doing, because he just wouldn't do it otherwise. I just don't believe him when he says, "Oh, I'll stay on my shoes, motherfucker," like all that shit. Like, mate, you like it to a certain degree. You're addicted to something about it.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way that willpower, unless he is just a genetic freak. He's obviously an outstandingly fucking hard man.
Yeah. Which you know, you get them out there, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, those outliers.
But you will always lose that game of willpower eventually. The trick is, I reckon it's like a muscle that you just have to build up over time.
Train it.
If you just try doing, right, I'm going to do 24-hour work days for the next 14 days. Yeah,
it's too much.
You just wouldn't even last one day.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't do it. But there are people also that build themselves up over years where they can do 18-hour days and all the rest of it, and that's good for them. I also struggle to do an 18-hour day because I don't want to do them. Like, I've done them on shoots before, very rarely, but like, I just don't want to live like that too. So fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's quite important. It's an important point there, is that idea of enjoying what you do. Because there's just a certain level of extra that you'll go to when you do like really enjoy something. You know, so like for me, I would probably be way more likely to be like, I'm going to go and do a climbing training session than I am to go for a run, because I enjoy climbing way more than I enjoy running.
Yeah, you'd climb every day for a month before you run every day.
Correct. Yeah. Which is, I think that's just important to try and make sure that people, you know, just try and do something that you enjoy. You know, like if you do find it hard for discipline, just try and get something that you enjoy first more than anything else, you know. Like that's super key. What's up, winners? If you're loving this podcast, make sure to drop us a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on our social media channels. That's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. 2 Beast Podcast, the number 2 Beast Podcast. Let's get back to the show.
Oh, what was I going to say? I fucking wish we had cameras that didn't stop every 30 minutes so that I didn't lose my train of thought every time we fucking did a...
Can you get like batteries and stuff for that last longer? Or?
We could do it. No, because it's not anything to do with the batteries. It's to do with like the internal record limit. Yeah. The only one that doesn't have it is that one. So pretty fucking batty behaviour, to be honest. From
that is a bit of shit.
So yeah, unless we want to pay fucking, I don't know, $6,000 for 2 cameras that don't. We have to just live with the fact that we lose our place every couple of minutes, which is absolutely fine by me, to be honest.
Jesus.
It was all right on the time. We did do a brief stint where we took these 2 cameras out and we just had that one and cropped in later, and that was fine then because you could go forever. But
yeah,
it just looked dash. So
it was too cropped.
Yeah, mate. The 1 hour a day thing was probably my next step in the process of that. Like once I just got doing something that just wasn't weaseling about all the time, I was then like, right, let me just do 1 hour every day for a while. And that was stolen straight out of a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. He talked about writing and like being creative. He could do it for 1 to 4 hours a day, and then he was like done. Creatively, he was done. But you build up to the 4 hours too. So that's what I did. I was like, right, this week I'm just going to do an hour a day, and then next week 2, and then whatever. Like, you build it up over time, hour and a half, whatever the fucking case may be. You set a time, you decide on it, and then it is just doing that. And then, you know, to a certain, like, hopefully what happens after a while, if you're anything like me, was I started to take pride in the fact that that's what I did. And I started to take pride in the fact that I had built up a streak of doing this for so long. And so like once you've done an hour a day every day for the last 60 days, you really don't want to fuck it up on day 61. Do you know what I mean? So you just carry on kind of going. I ended up doing that for like 2 years, I think. And then with the exception of Christmas Day. And then you and Dad and Luke and basically everyone, when I started doing like somewhere between 1 to 6, they were like, mate, I reckon if you just took 2 days off, you could just do way more in those 5 days. And just like, that would be better for you. So I tried that and you're pretty much right. Like it did work better. But as a starting point, 1 hour a day is better than 0 hours a day.
Yeah. And that, I guess that works if you, I mean, does it work? I'm just trying to think of like ways to do it in terms of if people have, because the difference in us in terms of you have the flexibility to be able to essentially create your own working hours in many ways because of your job and the nature of your job, other than when you have a shoot, in which case it's
I do, yeah, limit. But also only if I respect it. So like, it's not like I can, yes, if somebody invites me out for an evening or whatever, I could move something in order to go to that thing, but only if I haven't done that in ages. So like, I can't be, it's not as flexible, it's not this magic like fucking thing where I can drop work and pick up work.
No, you're still dialed in terms of like,
yeah,
you know, what you've got going on around you and the stuff that you need to get done in X amount of time.
And in addition, the challenge is like, you got work tomorrow, haven't you? Yeah. If you don't go to work tomorrow, what happens?
Well, I get fired. Well,
right.
Not quite there yet, but you know what I mean.
What happens before you get fired?
I get given like a warning.
Yeah, like you get a fucking talking to.
Yeah.
Like somebody who you respect, like your boss, is going to have the difficult conversation with you and say, mate, you've just fucked me over.
Yeah.
You've just fucked the entire team over.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you playing at? And you're going to get shouted at and you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And so when that alarm goes off and you really don't want to go to work, unless you're an absolute fucking knob, you just get up.
You just go to
whether
work,
you've got a headache or whatever. Because it's not because necessarily you want to go. It's because literally as simple as you're going to get shouted at if you don't.
Yeah. And if you keep doing that, you won't have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, see, with me, nobody's here to tell me to get up. If I don't work tomorrow, no one is going to know, realistically. And if I don't work the next day, no one's going to know. And eventually, after like 2 weeks, a client will be like, what the fuck, man, our video's 2 weeks late, what's going on? And then I'll have to have a weird conversation. But it's not going to be, there's not that same sense of urgency. Like, some jobs, if you're 5 minutes late, you are in the shit. That's just not the case. If I start 2 minutes past 7, no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, and I guess for you, it's not even, because if I'm late for if I'm late for my job, or I don't go to work, I just fucking skip a day. That then, like you say, goes on the team, goes on my boss, all of that stuff. Whereas and not to say that it doesn't affect me, because obviously it would do eventually, because I get fired, so I wouldn't have a job. But I guess for you, being self-employed, if you don't do the work, the only person it realistically affects, the longer time goes on, is you.
Yeah, well, obviously it's going to affect clients, and it's going to affect like you eventually, because I'm going to have no money and then I'm not going to be able to pay rent and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just not urgent. It's not an immediate fucking
there's not
damage.
a time scale on it, really.
Yeah, so you can kind of kick the can down the road and like worry about it tomorrow kind of thing. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. That happens all the time. I think the other difficult thing is just everything's here. Like from a mental perspective, like you are relying on willpower some days because the fucking PlayStation's right there. Like the gym's just down the road. No one knows. If I want to train instead of doing that, no one knows if I go and do that. And the worst thing about that as well is training's actually like a productive thing. So that's still technically productive, even though it's just not what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's like completely fucking, it's a bit of a bastard some days, I must say. But
whereas I can't drop my drill halfay through setting and go, I'm just going to have a training session, then be back in half
exactly,
an hour,
and you're at work. So the context is different, the environment's different. Like I've had this weird thing about the fact that I can't seem to edit videos for longer than 6 hours without like just completely, and even since I've been quote unquote back on the grind, like you were saying, I've been on the fucking computer. Once 6 hours ticks over, my head is just fucked. You know when you come out of an exam when you're a kid and your head's just like, shit. Like that's how I feel. I feel tired.
Why do you think that is? Why is the 6 hours like the the mark. Do you reckon that's like for everyone, or do you think that's just you personally?
It's just me. Yeah, it's just in my head. I think for some other people it'd be fucking 13. Some other people it'd be 3. I don't know, but what I do know is when I did an editing job, I did it twice this year for the esports company. I've talked about on the pod like ages ago. We did like 12-hour edit days for 3 days in a row. And I was absolutely fucking fine. So it's absolute bollocks.
So do you think it's the environment that you're in when you're doing said editing?
I think it's because no one's there with me.
Yeah.
No one's there. Like, when you got that desk set up and you were sat there editing as well, it was immediately easier because you were in the office space, you had your colleagues around, everyone else is in it with you. When I was editing in the esports thing, there were 3 other editors there. Some of them had been there since like 2 a.m. because they had to get the broadcast time done, whatever, or they were going to be there till 2 a.m. Like, there were people there that had it worse. There were people there that were in it with you. Like, you were all in it. So you're not going to fucking bitch out and like go home and fucking have a strop or whatever, or get lazy. Plus the context of it being like the biggest thing I'd ever worked on as well. And like the not wanting to look a twat, all played into the elements. There were people watching me, and that thing come back. Like, if I don't do this video won't go on broadcast on time. Mate, that's much bigger than just like a couple of work colleagues. That's like fucking...
Or even like a client that you've got.
500,000 concurrent viewers that were watching that fucking thing. It's suddenly like, what happened? You know, like it's like a multi-million fucking event. Like, you just don't play games. It's just funny how your brain just goes, oh, no.
That's ironic because you were doing a gaming event and you don't play games.
Nice. I see this is how your fucking podcast ends this week.
No, we're still going.
At least we're even on shit patter.
But that's how we run. That's how we roll, shit patter. No, it is interesting though, because effectively what you're saying, and I've had this weirdly, so like when I do my admin days, which is normally like a Friday, so I do all like my managerial stuff, emails, fucking ordering shit, doing the rota, God knows what else. Weirdly, I find I'm a lot more focused and a lot more locked in if I do that time at whatever the centre I'm working, which is normally Plymouth. If I was there and doing it, fuck me, I'd be like up every 2 seconds, be like, oh, I need a piss, need a poo.
Would you?
Have some food.
Every 5 minutes you need a poo?
No, maybe that's a bit excessive.
Fuck's sake.
Well, it depends how much coffee I've drunk, I don't know. But like, the point is, right, that was a bit silly, but the point is, there's way more distractions in here than there is in a setting like you had with the esports or like when I'm at work, where... And again, I guess like when I'm at work, there's a deadline in terms of like, I have to be done by 6 o'clock. Like, I'm not, otherwise I'm in overtime and I can't be asked to take that time back. So I guess that whole thing of like having an area where you can really knuckle in and zone in on what you're doing is really important for discipline in terms of just getting it done, but also stuff that can help you when you're not on your own. You know, so having that sort of camaraderie of people around you and like, you know, people doing the same thing or in the shit, which is like, you know, the teamwork side of things. I guess you can kind of link that back to 10 tours when we did that, you know, like.
I think what you've got to do is you have to create that, like basically what we've been saying in this pod so far is, yeah, you can go way further when there's urgency there, when there's something uncomfortable about not going there. And so I think you have to just try and simulate that as best you can. Yeah. And hopefully it is a simulation too, because it's either going to be simulated stress or it's going to be very fucking real stress when you run out of money. Yeah. And I've had that this year a couple of times where like last year we had some retainer clients, whatever, we got complacent. I was like, yeah, cool, man. Like I'm fucking chilling. And then the retainer client fucking churns, they disappear, they fucking close up their business. And then like suddenly your fucking fat bank that you had just drips away, and then suddenly you're thinking, fuck, like you're looking at the cash flow forecast and you're thinking, at this rate I'm not actually going to survive winter, and I need to find $7,500 in order to make that happen. Where the fuck is that going to come from? And then you start waking up every day with that fear and fucking then suddenly, oh, now you can work 8-9 hour days. That just magically happens.
It's the urgency, right?
Yeah, to a certain degree, but also sometimes it goes the other way as well, where you shut down. There's like I think this is probably Chris Williamson will have some fucking thing on this. I know he will. He's the guy for this kind of stuff. But I did watch or see some chart years ago of like the optimal point of motivation, because there is a point where if you have too much pressure, you just fucking fold.
Yeah, you just
give up. You just, that's it. Like whatever, I'm not doing it. Fuck him. Fuck them all. So yeah, I think you have to, and whether or not that is through, if you don't want it to be you're physically going to run out of money and become homeless soon, and like actually have that real fire, if you want to actually simulate it, you've either got to build up a streak or a record that you're really proud of. Like for us, for example, it's the no drinking thing. Like 2 years of no drinking. I don't want to fucking drink now. You know what I mean? It's going to be 2 years in January. Why would I want to break that streak? For what? Like, it's going to have to be pretty fucking important for me to want to throw that away in a hurry. And the same with the 1 hour a day thing. Like, when I had spent 6 weeks feeling fucking worthless and useless, and then suddenly I had this 1 hour a day that I was doing, and I was actually seeing the progress being made, I didn't want to let that go either, and I was proud of my 60-day streak. So that's one way of doing it. And the final way, I think, is just fucking, we've said it on the pod before, but like, realize that you're only going to go so far for yourself. Like, you do not look after yourself for yourself as well as you do other people. So if you have people relying on you as well, or you can somehow frame it in your mind so that you're doing this for them, I think you'll go a lot further. Those are things that I have basically learned on my 27 years spinning around the planet, trying not to make a twat of myself.
Solid. All nice and neatly put together.
I'll put a little bow on you. Mate, see how much fucking, see I'm back.
It's good. He's back.
See how last week I was an absolute fucking worm.
You were, yeah. And now you've just
come
fucking...
with the fire, mate.
I was
like,
now. It's good. That's
all week I've been thinking, mate, what the fuck did you do on that podcast, you dickhead? And now I'm back.
You've redeemed yourself. It's good.
Maybe. Until I listen to this back and it's all bollocks.
No, that makes sense, because essentially what you've got there is three things, right? So you've got... Having a team around you will allow you to actually... If you can have a team around you, will allow you to have more motivation, and therefore it makes it easier to complete the task. If you don't have a team around you and you don't have that big fire underneath you, so let's say like the middle ground, you just need to try and simulate that via having, I don't know, like you say, a streak or something that you can hold and value with some sort of pride that does not allow you to break said streak. Or... Number three, you've got that option of like, you're actually about to be in the shit here. I need to find, like you said, $7,500 or I'm fucking homeless.
Yeah, which is like the worst case scenario.
Totally, yeah. So you've kind of got those like three levels in terms of like where you could be in one of those different levels, which I think makes a lot of sense.
It is just about, and this is the difficult balance, because especially when we talk on the podcast, obviously we kind of frame it as though we act like we know what we're talking about, and obviously we are just fucking a couple guys. Like, there's so much stuff I don't know.
100%.
And sometimes when I listen back to the shorts, I'm like, you really sound confident in what you're saying, you motherfucker, and you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Right? But there is this difficult game where, like, you have to take pride in yourself. I think this is where, I think the term self-love has definitely been hijacked by people.
Yeah.
But there is an element of self-love in the sense of, Jordan Peterson says it the best, where he says, treat yourself as if someone you are responsible for taking care of. Like, treat yourself as if you're someone that's worth investing time into. How about that? Like, why don't we try that first? Have a little bit of pride in yourself or something that you do, and don't be afraid to make that your identity if it's a positive thing. Like, my identity for a while was rooted in, oh, well, I do at least an hour of work every day. And that was like my big thing, 1 to 4 hours every day. Now, some people laughed at that. Like, they thought that was pathetic. People that were doing fucking 10-hour shifts or fucking 20-hour shifts or whatever, obviously just thought, mate, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing with your life? You're wasting it. But for me, that was something that I held on to quite dearly. And in the same way now with the no drinking thing, like, it's obviously become part of identity. How many fucking times have I brought that up on a podcast? Oh, did you know I haven't had a drink in 2 years? It's like, it's obviously...
I wonder if it's every episode at this point. It's probably not every episode, it's probably like...
Well, fucking the first like 10 episodes, I mentioned skydiving every single fucking episode.
You haven't mentioned it in weeks.
No, I haven't, because I've been in fucking since May. Fucking, they don't even know I am anymore.
The skies in England have not been fucking
it's just me, I just haven't fucking gone up.
Skydiving.
But, yeah, like... You can tell probably if you've listened to more than one fucking episode what I hold dearly in my identity. but that also guides who I am and what I do. So you have to have pride in yourself. Like if your identity is you're a loser, or your identity is you're overweight and unhealthy, and you see people do this all the time, they just act like, they just pretend they're proud of it, and you're like, pfft. And to the point where they are proud of it, and good for them, I guess. But I'm not convinced personally that is a healthy, just because you have to be proud of the right things. And taking a bit of pride in yourself to the point where you are worth, like I said, investing time into is a good start. And then that will take you so far. And then you'll reach a wall, I think, where you just go, I just don't really care enough to carry on past this point. Okay, I can now do 6 hours of work a day. Don't really want to do 12. Quite frankly, I'm not worth it. And that's when you fucking find your future wife and then have a kid, and then suddenly that kid is looking to you for food and you're like, holy fuck. And then you do 12, 16, 18 hour days. You'd fucking die for it. You'd die for that thing. I mean, that's where it gets to. So there you go. Not quite as bow tied as the first time, but
hey, that was good. Bang, bang.
I carried on going too long, I think.
No, that makes sense. I like it. I like the idea of having an identity and to really hone in on that.
Yeah,
not care what people think about.
It's very you have to be very careful about what that identity is, though. And that's where fuck off. Every fucking time I decide to let the battery go. See how it fucking was alright last week, and then I got confident.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Sorry, everyone had to listen to that.
Don't worry. This time I'm not going to forget what I said. I'm not even cutting this either, by the way, so you better entertain them while I'm doing this. There's fucking no shot I'm taking a third ad break. Anything but a third ad break. Yeah. So as promised, I'm not going to forget what I was saying.
Oh, he's forgotten.
No, I haven't, mate.
Have you not forgotten?
I don't break promises.
I know what you've done.
I don't break promises.
I know where you
I don't
were.
break promises. You've got to be very careful about how you make the identity thing.
And you've done it.
What I was going on about.
Good job.
Thought I was going to break a promise there. That's fucking freaky deaky shit, man. So because obviously if you fall into the wrong crowds, and then again, I mean, I'll finish my point, because otherwise it's just not going to make any sense. But falling into the wrong crowds, so if you're around people who all love doing heroin, for example, and it becomes part of your identity that you're a heroin addict, you've probably fucked something up there. That's not a good thing. That's a bad example of identity being used.
Yeah.
If you're around people who love going to the gym and your identity becomes, I am a gym guy, you're more likely to go. So having good people around you, all the rest of it, like you were saying, helping you guide that path of what your identity should and shouldn't be. Obviously, you don't let one person dictate to you who you become.
No.
But a crowd of people of whom you admire and whom you would like to be like, giving you a gentle steering guide onto what you should and shouldn't do as part of your what you should and shouldn't identify with, is generally a strong idea.
Solid. Solid points there. Well done. You did well
don't
there.
fucking ask me any more questions. It's getting fucking wiry now. It's getting down to the wire, innit? That fucking rambly as fuck, some of it.
Oh, he's getting to that point now.
Mate, I just feel like I'm on a streak, and then you're on that streak, and then you just carry on going, and then you end up fucking, you're like, nah, you're rambling, and then you start fucking panicking.
Yeah, anyway. I know that feeling. I know that feeling too well. I feel like I do that far too much.
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone just fucking talks too much. That's what they do when they speak. It's amazing how easy it is to spot in other people, and then, I don't spot it myself until I'm fucking editing the podcast. I'm like, oh.
Bollocks!
Such a fucking loser, Chris.
Yeah.
God damn it.
That would be an interesting thing to try and improve on, would be how to become more concise with your points.
Oh, mate, it is actually well worth doing. I've tried to do that. I get into good flows and bad flows with it, but I do quite often try and say less. Mostly, I realise it when I see someone else talking too much. Because the reason someone's talking too much is because they need to be heard. And if they need to be heard, then that's probably because they are lacking confidence.
Yeah.
So it's generally not a good thing. If they have to show you how knowledgeable they are, then they might be knowledgeable, but they're just insecure about it.
I wonder if that's why Elon... Have you heard the podcast of Rogan with Elon Musk? He has this weird way of like... So Joe will ask him a question, and then there'll be like this enormous pause between the question being asked and then his answer. And I wonder if... And then when he comes out with the answer, you're kind of like, was that it? So I wonder if that is... Again, because he's fucking massively intelligent. I wonder if that is something in terms of like taking that time just to sort of pause and think about what you get. Almost a classic thing, isn't it? Of just being like, just think before you say. Yeah. Don't just be like, and just like sort of let it come out. Take a few seconds just to think about what you're going to say and then allow it to come out in a clear and concise way so that it makes sense. It's
a classic power play as well, because like, let's say a Jehovah's Witness knocks on a door, like they used to do back in the day. And I don't think we've ever had a Jehovah's Witness here, but it's a common thing that everyone seems to know about. Jehovah's Witness knocks at your door and they say, do you have a minute to talk about Jesus? Jesus is part of Jehovah's Witness stuff, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, I think so.
They're knocking on the door.
Correct us in the comments.
Religious person comes to the door. They say, do you have a moment to talk about Jesus?
Yeah.
Now, what would most people do? Most people would go, no, not right now, sorry, or maybe another time. Or, imagine for a moment, they knock on the door. You open it. They go, do you have a moment to talk about Jesus? No. Silence.
Yeah.
What are they going to say to that? Is there a better time? No.
Yeah.
What are they going to say?
There is something to be said for that, for sure.
And they go, all right, have a nice day. Yes.
It's the power of saying no, isn't it?
Mate, it's classic fucking Kratos vibes. That's literally the whole character of Kratos in God of War.
Yeah.
Like, it just... And every time he says something, one, you listen because he doesn't speak very often, and two, it's fucking hilarious. And it's
or like knowledgeable and like, you know, actually has a lot of wisdom to it.
He speaks only when he's got something to say.
Yeah.
The absolute fucking antithesis of a podcast from two losers who know nothing about nothing. That decide that it's worth fucking recording themselves.
Everyone wants to fucking listen to what we have to say, apparently.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
madness.
100% is 100% a thing. And
the power of saying no.
Yeah.
The power of saying no. I don't think it gets used. It doesn't get used a lot. And I think that's where people end up, and I've fallen victim to this, of ending up in a position where you're like, fucking hell, why did I agree to do this? And then you think, if you'd just said no, you wouldn't be in that position. You know, like you've accepted to go out with someone, or, you know, someone that you work with or whatever, and they're like, oh, do you want to come and do this? And you're like, oh, not really, but I don't really want to say no. So then you say yes, and then you're out with all these people that you don't really want to be with, but you're out with them. And then you're like, fuck, why did I not just say no? Yeah. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, powerful.
And also, like, if someone's trying to convince you to do something, you can if you're in some kind of argument or confrontation, you can pretty much win by just letting them talk themselves out. Like, if you just continue asking questions. It's like the why game. That is a classic example.
Yeah.
You just keep asking someone, but why? But why? But why? They'll have a go for like 3 or 4 rounds. And then in the end, they'll just go, mate, don't be a dickhead. Right? Yeah. And it's the same thing with any conversation. Like, if you just ask questions about what they do, or like what they're trying to say, then they'll just fucking run themselves in a loop. Like Chris Voss's classic one.
I was about to say, I feel like there's some Chris Voss in that.
It's 100% Chris Voss. Like, they'll say, right, I need 60 seconds or she dies. This is his classic game. Bank robber rings you. They say 60 seconds or she dies. I need a car out the front right now. And he just goes, how am I supposed to do that? And now the whole fucking game has just changed. It's just completely flipped around. Like, how is he supposed to do that? And then if the person is a normal person, they will try and answer that question. And then they'll just end up fucking getting themselves in a... You know that thing that I was just talking about earlier in the pod where I was like, I'm speaking, and I fucking hope as I'm going along that the next word, I'm like kind of so tunnel visioned on what I'm going to say next so that I don't end up looking like a dickhead. And I actually get my point out there. If you just keep someone in that loop all the time, by just dangling a carrot in front of them with another question, most of the time they will just end up coming up to the answer themselves of why you aren't going to do that thing. Like, let them have your way.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Is a bit. I know this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but that's kind of what the therapy is in some ways, isn't it? You know, people go and talk to a therapist. Essentially, all they're doing is just asking you questions in a way for you to come to the conclusion yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
Because that's how you're actually gonna make a change in your life. Is if you come to conclusion yourself. Someone's just talking at you constantly and being like, "You should do this, you should do that." Blah, blah, blah. You're way more likely to just be like, it
sounds like manipulating, and it can 100% be manipulating. But also, it's a very reasonable defense tactic if someone is trying to fuck you over. If someone is trying to talk you into, or make you talk yourself into a trap. Then not doing that, not falling bait to their questions and asking return questions, very, very, very solid way to fucking diffuse that bastard. Anyway, we've got 2 minutes left of this podcast. What do you want to do with it?
Shit me, that come quite close.
Yeah, quick. I know. Rapido.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Oh, I got a challenge. Fuck off. I got a challenge. I wasn't
expecting that. What, a weekly challenge?
Yeah.
This is the weekly challenge?
Yeah.
You're about to post the weekly challenge?
Right now.
Okay, go on.
By this time next week.
So this time next Sunday, 4 o'clock next Sunday.
You have to count.
Oh no.
From 1 to 20 in Spanish. Or French.
As in I have to learn?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd probably do French, wouldn't you? Because you wanted to learn French back along.
That's Spanish, French, both.
Yeah. ¿Por qué no los dos?
I wish I knew what that meant.
We'll let the Spaniards translate it in the comments.
Oh, bollocks.
Spanish people, translate that in the comments for us,
if
please.
I put this as a short, or if the captions will come up in English or Spanish.
Oh, I don't know.
Does it translate?
¿Por qué no los dos? That's what. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Otherwise I'll get fucking
lynched.
Yeah. That's what we do.
So we've got to be able to count from 1 to 20 in either French or Spanish.
Yeah, 100% I'm doing Spanish because I actually want to learn Spanish.
And then we'll do it on this pod.
Yeah, we'll do it live on the pod. Start off with a count from 1 to 20.
Roger that.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
How's your fucking chlamydia going?
Why?
Thank you for listening to the Two Beast podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast on whatever your preferred platform is. We'll see you next time. All the best.